Hey, extension friends, natebirt, NTAE key informant. So today's video is on the topic of best ever. And oftentimes I find working with colleagues in a variety of capacities that the day-to-day work can become overwhelming to the point where you're just trying to get through. And that's totally understandable. At the same time, something that really gives me energy and that I would love to see others embrace as well is this idea of treating every day, treating every opportunity like it's the best ever, right? I used to have a running joke with a colleague when I was in the world of agriculture and farm media. We would sort of joke every year we had a big annual event and we would say, this is going to be the best one ever. And it was sort of like tongue in cheek, but the reality was like the energy was there, the enthusiasm, like we're going to do a really great job of this. And so I think sometimes we really have to sort of psych ourselves up that something really is going to be the best ever, and it translates to higher performance as extension professionals, a better experience for the clients you serve, etc. So, let me just give you some quick pointers here that I think can be helpful to you as you go through the day to day. So, the question to ask yourself is how can you make this extension fill in the blank, right? It could be a program, project, initiative, meeting, the best ever, right? So, the first thing I recommend is practicing gratitude, right? Grateful to be alive, grateful to be part of this organization, grateful to be serving in this community or with this specific base of clients, all kinds of things to be grateful for, but it puts you in the right frame of mind for everything that follows. Number two, show up professionally yet authentically. So I've been having a conversation with a client recently that is looking to sort of, upskill or train a younger communications team that's still sort of getting its bearings right for how do we work with other professionals, executives, leaders, and be ourselves and also be highly professional and make sure we're saying the right things and that sort of thing. And so it's important to sort of balance like showing up as who you are, right, and also doing that in the most professional white glove kind of way possible, right? An extension is great at this. You build great relationships, you are trusted in your community. And so, just again, remembering the role that you serve, the place that you're in, and also being yourself, right? There's nothing wrong with being yourself, having a sense of humor, uh, asking the right questions, etc. There's just sort of that right balance to strike. And it's always good to sort of remind ourselves of that. The next point is to bring curiosity and also enthusiasm, right? So oftentimes, maybe there is a sense in any organization or in any profession that you have to, when you show up in the room, whether it's a meeting or a conversation with a client or what have you, you have to be the expert. You have to have all the answers. The reality is often much the opposite, which is it's much more powerful and inspiring and, I know personally motivating for me anyway to just be curious, ask questions, be excited about where you're at, right? Not everything is exciting. Some things feel like drudgery, and you can still make the most of them, right? So look for ways to balance both curiosity, right? Maybe you don't know everything. Yes, maybe you're giving a presentation and your audience can also give you insights that will add to your understanding or knowledge of a particular topic. So be curious, be enthusiastic. Next, set reasonable expectations. I think the greatest disappointment, some of the greatest unhappiness that we can feel in work or in life is because, the bar was here and what happened was down here. And there's nothing wrong with having big goals or big ambitions. And it's also important to be realistic and understand what's within your control and what's outside of it. So just be aware of that. The next point is appreciate the fundamentals, right? So go back to basics, right? When things seem overwhelming or you're really trying to psych yourself up, maybe for something you've done 100 times, appreciate the fundamentals, right? If you're going into a meeting, having an agenda prepared and circulated in advance, facilitating well, getting people engaged in the conversation and not just relying on a handful of louder voices or the most prominent voices in the room, really trying to engage and understand people on a deeper level and also share your perspective. So again, fundamentals, whatever you're doing, really can be grounding and they can also just increase everyone's experience that much more. And that sort of leads me to the final point, which is to practice good processes, right? If you've done something like producing a newsletter or engaging in a meeting or facilitating or whatever, presenting, teaching, whatever you might be doing, thinking about those processes if you don't have a written process, creating one, just so that you can, you know, get yourself back into the right frame of mind and also deliver an outstanding experience for whoever is at the table, whether it's other extension professionals, administrators, clients, etc. So my question for you this week is, how are you going to make this the best extension, fill in the blank, ever, right? So think about something you have coming up. Maybe you're dreading it. Maybe it's something that feels like riding a bicycle, like you've done it a million times and it feels routine. You can get excited again. You can deliver excellence. You can be enthusiastic. And it starts by thinking through how you're going to make this the best ever. I hope this was helpful. If you have thoughts or want to share where your head is at on this topic, I'd love to hear from you. Just send a note to natebirt@extension.org and natebirt@extension.org. Have a great day. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.